Our location really doesn't mean anything for you guys because wherever you're at or whoever you're working with, we can work with. We work a lot with email, phone, everything. So everything's done remotely quite a bit. Since there's a lot of you here, I'm sure you have a lot of questions. So what I'm going to do first is we'll see if you guys have questions, and then we'll kind of keep the conversation rolling because this actually goes really fast as we're doing all of this. And since there's all of you here, I want to make sure you guys get the information that you need. So I'll open the floor up to questions. Any immediate questions you guys have, or? Okay, good. All right, good. So you don't want to know anything. I'm just kidding. All right, so what does an agency do? The way I love to describe an agency.
I'm sorry.
You're Cynthia.
Sorry.
This is Cynthia.
My name is Cynthia Aquino. I'm the finance and insurance coordinator at Open Arms.
Yes.
Okay.
Good.
Go ahead.
Okay, good. Sorry, Cynthia.
That's okay.
So an agency. So I would say, of course I would say, the most important part of your journey is your agency. Your agency starts with you and will end with you. Everybody else that you'll talk to today, other than agencies, are people that are going to be at different times during your journey. So at certain points of your journey, you're going to have an attorney. Certain points of your journey, you're going to have an escrow agent, a fertility clinic, your surrogate mother, or an egg donor. Those are like just off the main players in that. Your agency, so if I had to say, okay, this is the agency, here's your attorney, here's your escrow agency, here's your fertility clinic, here's your surrogate, here's your egg donor, here's the OB, here's the hospital. We are in the center of all of this. So our job is to make sure everybody's doing what they're supposed to be doing, when they're supposed to be doing it, and keep everything moving forward. Now, a good agency, and there's a lot of good agencies here, a good agency will be the ones that will know what to do when something goes wrong. They're going to know how to handle the problem and have a resolution for you. A lot of agencies, anybody can schedule appointments. It's sorry to say. Anybody can schedule a doctor's appointment. Anybody can book travel. And that's what an agency will do. It is those times when there's a challenge that makes all the difference. So as our agency, we have an egg donor database. So we screen egg donors. We right now have a database of about 200 to 250 egg donors. We don't medically screen them. Your fertility clinic, and we'll work with any fertility clinic here. We'll work with their protocol, work with their nurses. Luckily in Florida, we've worked with a lot of the clinics here that you've met today, and have really good relationships. That's also a big bonus when you have an agency like ours that's been doing this for about 15 years. We also have surrogate mothers. We market, we screen, we do a lot of pre-screening. Again, everything short of a medical screening. What else can I say?
Our agency is actually separated the departments. We have an egg donor department and a surrogate department and an intended parent department. So you will have your own coordinator who is there for your needs. Mm-hmm. It's the same with the surrogate mother and the egg donor. That's very important, I think, because we differ from other agencies where sometimes they have one coordinator that does everything. She's the one that coordinates the egg donor and the surrogate and the intended parents. We have, in the intended parent department, we also have a French-speaking one, and we have a Spanish-speaking for Spanish-speaking IPs, and of course the English-speaking. So that's Laura, that's Maxime, and Karen. So
yeah, and we found that to be really important because what your needs are in this process are different than the needs of your surrogate mother or the needs of your egg donor. And it's really important to have experts in those areas. So I definitely want to have somebody who's going to know what an egg donor needs to go through and understand if she is complying, if she's not complying, making sure she's taking her medications, being able to explain that process to her. Same with your surrogate mother. I need a surrogate mother coordinator. I need somebody who understands what the prenatal care is, what the prenatal tests are, if something's not right, and being available to her after hours, because I would love to have all pregnancy complications happen between 9 and 5 Monday through Friday, but they don't. So I need to make sure I have somebody that's very flexible and supportive of your surrogate mother. Also somebody that's going to be really good relationship with your surrogate. I will tell you the two most important things out of all of this that you learn while you're here in this process, especially for surrogacy, is the match, who you match with, because you have to really determine what's important to you when you are thinking about a surrogate mother. And then also your legal contract. Your legal contract will become everything that it falls back on. So if something happens, first thing I'm going to say is, what does the legal contract say? So when you get to that step, make sure that as much as you can get covered in that, it's covered. And the way that we do it is that if you were to hire us, we have our retainer agreement that has your term sheet of what it would be like to work with your surrogate mother. This will include her base compensation, when she gets paid, at what points in the process. If this happens, does she earn compensation? If she gets bed rest, how much does she get in lost wages? Does her husband get lost wages if he's staying at home after delivery, for example? How long does that go for? All of these what ifs, we cover that in our term sheet when you hire us, before you meet your surrogate mother. The surrogate mother will sign a term sheet that says the same exact thing. So the great part of that is that once we get to legal contracts, which is halfway through this process, you guys have already agreed to the terms. You already know what to expect. You're not getting to that legal contract process saying, okay, well, how much is this compensation going to be? Or if we agreed at a base compensation of $30,000, the surrogate's not going to jump over here at legal contracts and all of a sudden say, I want 50, right? She agrees to do a certain amount before she's even matched with you. And that's super important. Yes?
Have you ever had or heard of sometimes if a surrogate needs to go on bed rest for whatever type of reason, and she was working before that, and she gets maternity leave, can they ever claim maternity leave early? And then, so not actually going to take maternity leave after they give birth, is there a way that they can go on maternity leave early and then have that cover the lost wages instead of having us do it out of pocket?
That's a great question. I would say that a surrogate is still going to take maternity leave. Even though she's not taking a baby home, she still has to recover. It's still a lot for her body to bounce back, especially if she had a C-section. So always anticipate at least a minimum of 4 weeks after a vaginal delivery that you're going to be paying lost wages afterwards, and 6 weeks if she's had a C-section. It takes a lot for her, especially a C-section, for her to heal and even get back moving. Well, you had a C-section, right? And
yes.
How difficult was it for you?
Yeah, it was very difficult. You can't, for example, you can't carry anything that's more than the baby's weight. And you can't be doing certain things like climbing stairs or driving, even that.
Yeah.
So,
it's still a lot for a surrogate to recover from.
So even in those same situations, if we're paying their lost wages for 4 weeks after they've given birth, and they're on maternity leave, do we still have to pay the lost wages if they're being compensated from their place of employment?
They most likely wouldn't be getting compensated for that. Yeah, most likely they're not going to be compensated. And it's usually standard that you're paying those lost wages. There's hardly any time I will ever see a contract that goes by that isn't paying lost wages. And that's, again, part of those term sheets that we agreed to in the beginning. But what I will do is find out all the information I can. I'm going to find out if she has short-term disability, for example. Does her employer offer short-term disability? When does it become eligible? And how long does it last for? And how much are they going to reimburse for? Short-term disability may cover 60 to 70% of her lost wages, but you guys would have to pick up the difference, right? Because you're going to be kind of utilizing that benefit, which is awesome, but you'll still have to make up for everything that's lost.
And just going back to the beginning a little bit, when you're ready to start a journey, if you haven't chosen a fertility clinic or an escrow agency, there are a lot of components to this journey. We're happy to help to find those. We have already clinics that we work with and different professionals, so we're happy to offer you different options. And of course, you have to choose the clinic or the attorney that you feel more comfortable with. We also don't have any contracts with anyone exclusively, so if you already have chosen a medical professional or an attorney that you want to work with, no matter where they are, we're happy to work with them too. So
yeah. What other questions as we wrap up? We have a couple minutes left. Any more money questions? Yes, go ahead.
Exactly.
Yes, good. Yeah, that's a lot of the
What are your
questions.
agency fees and how much is due up front?
Well, I like to give 3 options. Number 1, you don't have to pay us for us to look for your surrogate. But I can tell you that people that have paid us are going to take priority, right, naturally. And I offer a half deposit. So it's our retainer fee is $17,500. Half due to kind of get on that waiting list, that priority waiting list, because there is a wait. And most agencies, it depends. I hate giving a time frame because it depends on what you're looking for with your surrogate. If you're telling me I want her to be in Florida and I want her to have employer insurance, but maybe through her spouse, if she's a stay-at-home mom, so there's no lost wages, and she's willing to carry twins, there's all these different factors, then you're looking for a unicorn. Not impossible, but it will take a lot longer to find her. But if you tell me, hey Kelly, I'm okay if she's in another surrogate-friendly state, because there's a lot of surrogacy-friendly states. Wherever your surrogate is going to deliver are the laws that will take precedent. Okay, so we have to make sure that whatever state she's in, that it's a surrogate-friendly state. And we have worked with a lot of different states, so it's not a problem. But in that regard, you have to think about your travel expenses, because she's going to have to travel to your fertility clinic. It's only 2 trips, but I mean, it could be $1,000 or so for flights and rental cars and hotels. Yes.
And then just to go back, and she was saying that we can split it in half. At the beginning, to get on the priority list, then you pay half of that. When we find the surrogate that you're looking for and you want to work with her, and she says, yes, I want to work with them too, then that's when the second half is due, and you would pay a deposit of $5,000 just to be able to pay for her psychological screening and her
For her
birth.
expenses.
Yes.
That doesn't go to the agency, that's just expenses for your surrogate.
Yes.
And that would be part of the general lump sum that you would put into an escrow account,
No, that's all separate.
the 5,000 separate?
That $5,000 comes to our agency, so we can do all these initial expenses to get her medically evaluated. Once she's medically approved, that's when you're going to start your legal contract and set up that escrow account. That escrow account is going to have at least her base compensation, and I would predict about $10,000, a minimum of $10,000. So her base compensation plus $10,000 to cover expenses and other terms of your contract. For example, a surrogate will receive a monthly allowance. Our monthly allowance is $300, and it starts when she signs contracts. What that covers is that when she goes to a doctor's appointment, she has mileage, she might have to get a babysitter to watch her kids. If she has co-pays up to $35, I don't want to get receipts like every week for all these small little things, so just take this lump sum every month to cover all those miscellaneous small expenses.
So it'd be basically $22,500 after you match the surrogate, like up through and matching the surrogate, up to that point, $22,500, and then the compensation plus the medical expenses plus the allowance.
Yes, that'll be separate, yeah.
Okay.
So to get the process started, $22,500,
Yeah.
right? And then once she's medically cleared and your doctor says, yes, she can actually be a surrogate, that's when you're going to open your escrow account separate from us. Because I don't want to manage that kind of money, honestly. She doesn't want to do it, no. And that's where you're going to put that bigger amount of money. And then they're going to get a copy of your contract and disperse as your contract dictates. That's where I go back to say your contract is super important.
So that's done with a separate company?
Yes, yeah. Mm-hmm. And we work with a lot of different escrow agencies, so we can give you referrals and kind of what they're really good at and what they're not good at.
Do you
More
have
of what
in-house
they do.
attorneys or?
Nope. No, again, we'd like to stay as neutral and as conflict-free as possible. So I'll give you a list of attorneys, and you can call them, and you can talk to them, you can have consultations, find who fits you. It's really, really important. And if they don't fit you, we'll give you more.
And then what happens if the first surrogate doesn't work out?
As long as she hasn't had an embryo transfer, if she's medically disqualified before embryo transfer, we'll find a new surrogate for you. If she's had an embryo transfer, that's a lot of work for us. So you think of the terms of your agency as the administrative management of this process. So our work has a lot to do with the scheduling appointments, a lot of communications with your clinic, a lot of communications with your surrogate mother or egg donor, putting a lot of these pieces in place to get her to where she needs to be. So if she's had an embryo transfer, she's gone through quite a bit of this process. So if it fails, then we have another fee to start finding another surrogate. But up until that point, if anything, if she's medically disqualified, we'll find a surrogate at no charge. And we'll do that as many times as possible.
How much would the fee be for the second time?
I'm thinking, is it 14.5?
I think it's 14.
14.5, yeah. Because again, we have to market again, we have to do our screening again, and we have to do all of our administrative management. Yeah.
Thanks.
All right, of course, absolutely. Any other questions, concerns, qualms, queries? Okay. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate you guys.
Yes.
And, we're available if you guys have any more questions.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Thanks. Thank you.